Do you want to project an image of wealth without spending a dime? We're sharing 7 ways to do just that. We've previously shared 9 tips on making your outfits look more expensive. And while that video was about increasing and showcasing the perceived value of the clothes themselves, today's video is about leveraging your outfits, attitudes, and behaviors to craft a more holistic semblance of wealth. In keeping with our classic style focus, we're centering a money talks, wealth whispers approach, as typified in part or in whole by aesthetics like old money and quiet luxury, which suggest established, classic wealth. 2 things to stress here before we continue. First, the techniques we're discussing are meant to be used in conjunction with an aspirational, self-improvement mindset, not one meant to deceive others financially or otherwise. Second, monetary wealth isn't an intrinsic good or a necessary component to being a gentleman. As we've said many times, money can't buy you class or respect. Keeping this in mind, let's dive into our list of 7 techniques to looking wealthier, starting with number 1, practice etiquette. Historically, rules of etiquette were employed and followed strictly in the upper echelons of society due to the belief that those who possessed wealth and status were necessarily deserving of respect and courteous treatment, and that the functions and events which they attended would run more smoothly and maintain a rarefied air if such rules were followed to a T. Following up on our previous point, though, we don't believe that etiquette should be reserved only for those with money or status, but rather that the modern gentleman is polite and respectful as a matter of course, acknowledging the dignity of others regardless of status, and that the spirit of etiquette is more important than following rules to the letter, as we discuss in our video on 7 etiquette myths. Somewhat paradoxically, though, since the employment of social etiquette has become more rare in 21st century society and is culturally associated with older ideas about wealth and status, if you make a point to employ etiquette to be respectful to others, they will likely perceive you as being not only a good person, but potentially wealthier than you are. It's a win-win. Next up is number 2, laugh more. Monetary wealth may be separate from personal character, but it's unavoidable that for better or worse, money is what makes the modern world go round, and that having more of it does tend to make life easier. As such, a comfortable level of wealth encourages a carefree and contented attitude. There's a reason why the rich guys laugh meme was popular. So don't think that you have to act grim and serious all the time to convey the gravity of wealth. Instead, smile, laugh, and be positive to convey that sense of effortless ease typical of the wealthy, and of course, do so not in a way that's dismissive or derisive, but rather seeks to put others at ease as well in a spirit of camaraderie and good humor. Speaking of helping others to enjoy themselves, our next technique is number 3, entertain at home. Believe it or not, among elite circles, especially amongst the old money, it's seen as more impressive to host a guest at home than at a fancy restaurant. A home-cooked meal conveys greater effort and personal care, and after all, for the truly wealthy, eating out at even the most ritzy locale isn't a big deal, but taking the time to prepare a home-cooked meal is. Note also that the wealthy don't exclusively enjoy upscale meals. Well-cooked, homey fare is always superior to poorly cooked, fancy food. I'll take a perfectly prepared pot roast over a poorly executed lobster Newburg any day. And of course, the wealthy often employ or enlist help in meal preparation, but this isn't a necessary part of the experience. If you have the budget, time, and ability to craft a quality meal yourself, your guests will surely enjoy it. And alternatively, having some or all of said guests assist with meal prep so that you can enjoy the fruits of your labor together can even be its own fun event. Just make sure everyone understands up front that that's what's happening. Next, we come to item number 4, engage with culture, especially phone-free culture. Another perk of monetary wealth and the leisure time that goes along with it is the ability to engage with cultural pursuits. But even if you don't have a high level of wealth, it's likely that you spend more time aimlessly scrolling on your phone than you'd like to in a given day, week, month, or year. No judgment, by the way, we're all guilty of it these days. So take stock of that time spent scrolling and consider not just generally trying to use your phone less, but to actually occupy your time with other pursuits. For example, you could, with your phone across the room perhaps, watch a serious film or even a non-serious one. There are plenty of revered comedies in the canon of cinema. You could read a physical book or an e-book on a non-internet connected device. Audiobooks or podcasts on engaging subjects are fair game too. Just try to listen while being otherwise productive, when doing laundry, to use a personal example, instead of while scrolling. Or you could visit a museum, theater, concert hall, or the like, while resisting the urge to Instagram about it. Remember, the wealthy, at least those of good taste, generally don't show off about their cultural experiences, but rather are accustomed to genuinely enjoying them. To enrich your mind and to be able to speak cogently about literature, drama, the arts, and/or classic cinema is a noble pursuit of self-improvement. You don't need encyclopedic knowledge, but should understand the general context and the basic vocabulary. Also, don't feel like you have to memorize the complete canon. Rather, find aspects of these institutions that you genuinely enjoy. And if you're unsure of a given subject, don't pretend to know something that you don't. Paraphrasing Socrates, the wise man knows he knows nothing. Instead, be willing to learn from the expertise of others and offer your own in return, with the goal of engaging in mutually enlightening conversations. In other words, being able to discuss culture makes cocktail parties a lot more fun. We mentioned Instagram a moment ago, so also on the topic of minimizing your phone usage, number 5 today is take fewer show-offy photos. This point is pretty straightforward, so we won't belabor it. While our current culture prizes performative status, especially on social media, through things like copious selfies in glitzy or fancy settings, you'll come off as more mannered and elegant, and again, more wealthy-seeming, to those actually around you in said fancy settings if you refrain from gramming throughout your time there. After all, people who regularly spend time in ritzy places don't usually feel the need to broadcast it, as they already feel they belong. By the way, we're not saying you can't commemorate a special evening or event by posing for a group photo or two at the beginning or end of the festivities. Again, just try to keep your phone usage to a respectable minimum. Enjoy good food, good drink, and/or good company, and live in the moment. Next is number 6, follow elevated dressing conventions. It should be no surprise that clothing had to come up at some point in a Gentleman's Gazette video. Many wealthy and non-wealthy people know that the clothing they wear conveys a sense of personal pride and serves to show respect to those around them, following the maxim that when you see the world sees you. Of course, there's also the counter-argument of having FU money, but as we hope we've made clear, that's not what we're aiming for today. Rather, you should aim to balance perception and comfort. Understanding that while shopping in your pajamas might be comfortable, say, taking a few extra moments to put on a clean shirt and trousers before heading out the door can be just as comfortable and convey a far better appearance. On a related note, in line with showing respect to both people and events, the wealthy tend to be more attuned to dress codes. They dress to follow the stated or understood dress code of a given event or occasion, neither underdressing, which can look sloppy and careless, nor overdressing, which could be interpreted as an effort to show off, dovetailing with our previous points. As we often say, your clothes don't have to be expensive to be formal, and you can follow most dress codes at basically any budget, as we've covered elsewhere on the channel. Before we move on to our final technique, though, let's stick with the topic of clothing to cover what I'm wearing today. In today's video, I'm wearing an outfit that could fall under business attire, or perhaps more appropriately, cocktail attire. The central element, of course, is my charcoal gray suit. It does have 3 pieces, but I'm wearing it in a 2-piece configuration today, and it has just a slight bit of character from some texture in its weave. I've paired the charcoal gray with one of its most natural pairing partners, the color pink. I'm wearing a French cuffed shirt from Charles Tirrett in pastel pink with a classic type collar, and in the French cuffs I've got some of our relatively new Fort Belvedere cufflink designs inserted. These are part of our Predator and Prey cufflink series with designs on both sides, although this one falls slightly outside of that theme as it has a horse on one side and a stirrup on the other. My vintage silk tie is in a dustier pink shade featuring geometric accents in green and off-white. My shoes are single monk straps with a moccasin toe and a museum calf leather in tones of slightly reddish brown. Their silver buckles also harmonize with the cufflinks I'm wearing. And the remainder of my outfit elements are also from Fort Belvedere today, including my 2-tone shadow-striped socks in light gray and pink, my pastel pink pocket square featuring a white X stitch on the edge, and my boutonniere. This one is a cornflower, also in pink tones. Finally here, the fragrance I'm wearing is also relatively new. It's one of the newest additions to the Roberto Ugolini collection. This scent is called Patina. Featuring strong vanilla notes, I like the scent because it makes its presence known without being too overbearing. So, for the socks, cufflinks, boutonniere, pocket square, and fragrance I'm wearing today, as well as a wide array of other accessories, Ugolini fragrances, and corduroy trousers, you can take a look at the Fort Belvedere shop here. Now we come to our final list item for today, number 7. Don't try to impress others. Aside from some celebrities and tech bro billionaires, many wealthy people recognize that egregious displays of material wealth appear tasteless and out of touch, especially in our current era of increasing class consciousness. So, rather than get caught up in trying to show off, they're more likely to find their own ways of enjoying life's pleasures and to embrace being themselves. It may seem ironic to end this explanation on how to appear wealthy even if you aren't, by telling you not to flash around what real or perceived wealth you have, but it actually brings us full circle to our first technique about practicing etiquette and treating others with respect. One more important point here. While you shouldn't expend time and energy trying to impress others, that's not the same thing as trying to make a good impression on others. We all like to be liked, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the easiest route to being liked is to be kind and helpful to people, to take genuine interest in their thoughts and conversations, and to conduct yourself in a confident and straightforward manner. As cliché as this may sound, earning the respect and admiration of others is worth its weight in gold. As the classic 1946 film It's a Wonderful Life teaches us, that respect and admiration is what makes Jimmy Stewart's George Bailey the richest man in town, even if the basket of donations from the townspeople on his behalf certainly doesn't hurt. In conclusion, looking wealthy, at least in the traditional sense, is just an extension of looking successful, confident, and capable. We've produced a number of other videos on self-confidence, etiquette, and making good impressions, and even a few on money management, like the lessons Raphael learned from being completely broke. Do you have any tips for looking wealthy that don't cost a thing? Spread the wealth of knowledge in the comments, and our community will be all the richer for it.